Hey everybody, Girls, episode 6, season 5, The Panic in Central Park. Michelle, Alonso, I love a bottle episode.
Oh, it was so good.
Even on this show, I know it's only 1/4 of the characters and it was Marnie of all people, but holy crap, what an episode.
It was such a good episode for her though. I felt the same way. I was like, oh, it's gonna be Marnie, and who knows where this relationship is going, but I really enjoyed.
Well, for one thing, I was delighted to see Charlie come back.
I love Charlie.
Because, yeah, he was always, I think, a really interesting character. And, you know, my understanding is that he got written off more for off-camera reasons than for dramatic ones. But, you know, whatever the off-camera stuff was, they've obviously resolved it enough for him to come back to the show. And they brought him back in a brilliant way.
Oh, yeah. And I absolutely thought that the entire storyline of her and Desi's relationship breaking down. Oh my gosh, that scene at the beginning where he just won't let her be angry. He won't let her have the space. It was painful.
Yeah, I mean, there's something about watching a movie or a TV show, especially if you've been in a relationship for a while, of two people who don't know how to have an argument.
Yep.
And you're just like, oh, God, you want to like reach in and counsel them, like here's what you're doing wrong, you know. I had that feeling a lot when I was watching that movie, Keep the Lights On. But yeah, these two, like, I have no idea how to have an argument and how to disagree on stuff and how to, how to give each other space, how to just the things that you do, the conversations that you have to sort of get past that stuff. And so, yeah, we knew this marriage was doomed, and better sooner than later.
And it was soon. It was soon. How much time do you think has actually passed since their wedding day? Like a week?
I would say maybe a month max, you know? Yeah.
That would have been a long time. I feel like that the sets they use are really incredible. And I think a part of it's New York City.
Sure.
But in creating that feeling of claustrophobia.
Well, especially when he starts building that wall in the bedroom. It's
with the bars.
Yeah.
Feels like a prison.
Well, I mean, eventually there was going to be a wall there, but still, it's like, yeah, great. Let's just have more suffocating in this tiny New York apartment. That's the way to go. But yeah, so just that crazy sort of running around with him and, you know, the dress and the Russian prostitute and the whole notion of like, oh, I was 22 then. Now I'm 25 and a half. I've got my shit together, you know, that's just, And
I felt like Marnie kind of started by thinking she was deep, and then at some point when she heard the other girl say she was the same age, it was almost like she realized, like, yeah, I don't fucking have any idea. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, that does sound stupid. Like, I think she probably like immediately empathized with the woman in the dress drawer who was like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I thought, and that's a great arc for Marnie that you don't get so often with that character.
Yeah. I mean, she doesn't learn things very often, so that's, it's good to slip one of those in occasionally. And yeah, Charlie, you know, you could tell, as you were saying from the get-go, you could tell that immediately something was up. And so by the time we see the syringe, it's like, well, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And he does talk differently. She's totally right.
Yeah, he's talking differently. The people he's with are clearly under. Everything about it was like
all very
so
seedy.
Obvious. I was just like, and you understood completely. You were like, well, it's the heroin. I was like, he was so successful the last time we saw him that it kind of threw me off. It's the heroin. But I kept waiting to see that this was a side problem and he still had this life or whatever, and then you realize just how far he's fallen in these episodes, like in these seasons.
Yeah.
So that was brutal.
Yeah, a bottle episode, it's basically when usually for like an ensemble show like this, they kind of devote an episode to one or two characters, or like the Fly episode of Breaking Bad or the Suitcase on Mad Men. Looking did some good ones. So they almost kind of feel like these little self-contained short films in a way, because they aren't cutting back and forth to like, meanwhile, you know, over in Japan, you know, and meanwhile, whatever. It's all this kind of one straight through narrative, and I thought really just sharply done. This is last night was a great night for TV. I think my favorite Billion so far, and this is one of my favorite Girls episodes, no question.
Totally agree. And yeah, I thought, the last scene, man, the very last scene with you'll get killed. Like that line that does, which to me, coming from him, who is barely surviving, like as a human, like he's not. It was so interesting to watch her process that, and you know, after the robbery scene, maybe that's true, but I'm gonna do
it's coming
it.
from you,
But I'm gonna, yeah.
And that whole thing about like, can't we think back to the early Hope or whatever? He's like, what? You mean like when you would cover my face with a pillow because you were guilty, you were cheating on your girlfriend? Like, what part are you talking about?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was so painful.
So we may never see Desi again, or I don't know. In this show, he may come popping up like a bad penny. But oh man.
Pulled off the Band-Aid.
As irritating as Marnie is, this was a great episode with her, and yeah, I loved it. Can't wait to see what this is. This is such a strong season so far. So looking forward to see what comes next. Thanks for watching.